Hi guys, welcome to Inbound After Hours. Today we've got Robbie on the show. We've been trying to get Robbie on the show now for about 6 months. It's actually harder to get on here than Brian Halligan. We met him in a bar last night. We're over in Boston, met him in a bar, and I made him get out of his phone and actually book it in his diary.
Forced.
And
the hand was tied behind my back.
And he's turned up, so thank you, Robbie. Top man.
Pleasure,
top man.
pleasure. Delighted
Okay,
to be here.
yeah, just for the viewers then, Robbie, what's your role at HubSpot? What do you do day to day?
Yeah, so I'm a channel consultant. I work with agencies, and basically my job is to really guide an agency through the processes that they're delivering inbound and making sure that their customers are seeing value from the relationships and that they're getting value from the tools. So I've been with HubSpot for the last 2 years,
Yep.
and I've loved every single second of it. I never thought that I would be as happy as I am in a company, which I think is incredible. And you know, I think the future's bright and the future's orange.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just before the show, we were chatting about your team. There's 20 of you come over from Dublin, and 80% women on your team.
Yes-ish, thereabouts.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's done the maths, but it's not far off.
Yeah, you've got a great team. You're just saying how passionate you are, and it's what keeps you at HubSpot.
Yeah.
So
I think it's huge. You know, the culture and the way in which we hire people and the fit, the sort of the need to have certain traits that will help you to gel in the organization. You don't have to come into this situation and be an absolute whiz around the tools and the product. As long as you've got these core sort of cultural skill sets and the cultural sensitivity around what's happening, then you know you'll fit in very nicely with HubSpot.
So it's back down to the hire on values, don't hire on skills necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, skills can be taught.
Yeah.
You know, values and obviously can be learned and changed, but there's something it's more in the core of the individual. And what we try and do is we try and identify those early on in the hiring process and make sure that's coming out. And we've got a very comprehensive onboarding process so that anybody who comes in is going to get the skills and the training that they need to be able to hit the ground running and make sure that they're set up for success in the future. So, you know, Dharmesh's talk yesterday, which was incredible, talked a lot about.
So good.
It was phenomenal.
So,
yeah,
he's come. Really. That guy's come on loads. I remember seeing him 5 years ago. He looked really nervous on stage.
Yeah.
He smashed it.
He absolutely kicked ass.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating to see him talking about something that, you know, is incredibly important for what we're doing. And it's all about the customer, and it's all about making sure that we're being transparent, we're being open about the facts that we're not going to stand up on stage as Dharmesh did yesterday and say everything is perfect. You know, we've got gaps and we've got a few things that we suppose we need to iron out, but we know what they are and we know that we have a process in place to try and work towards closing those gaps. And that to me is something that both I get a lot of value from and I think our customers get a lot of value from as well. It's that honesty, you know, that self-realization and the self-awareness. And you know, being open about the things that you're lacking or the things that you could do to improve, and I suppose taking the steps to work towards it. So both of those things I think are incredibly important, especially when you're dealing with customers on a daily basis. And that's something that we look for, is that empathy on the consultant side and the customer success side, but you know, that also goes into different areas of the business. You can have empathy for your customers, but I suppose you also need to have empathy for the people that you work with and for different areas of the business. And I think if we didn't have those skill sets as a requirement, I think the company would look very different. But that foundation has given us the ability to grow to where we are now and do it at the pace that we've done it, without losing sight of the reality and the focus on what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's a big shift, especially for HubSpot. I do know you released, after Dharmesh's talk yesterday, he actually did it during his talk, he released the customer code. I went on to the download afterwards, which we'll put in the show notes, and it's around about 140 slides.
Yeah.
I had a chance to absorb it. First thing I did is sent it back to our team and said, guys, get your head around this is the way forward. Delighted.
That's it. I mean, it's going back to the flywheel. It's making sure that, you know, we've seen that the customers who have had good experiences with us become the people who drive the extra engine behind what we're achieving here. You know, people talk, people have networks, people meet up with different scenarios. People hear more, you know, our customers hear from their network more that their colleagues are experiencing. And if they're optimizing and putting HubSpot into that conversation, that's a huge, powerful tool for us to get to unlock. And the more we do that, and the more we focus on the delight, and the more we focus on adding value for our customers at every opportunity, the more they're going to see how that's influenced them, and that they can then extol the virtues of HubSpot to their colleagues and friends. So that's been a huge focus for what we've been trying to do, and I think it also gets us to think a little bit more introspective about where we might have what we're calling sharp edges, where our customers might have an experience that jars a little bit with what the ideal scenario that they're expecting might be. So Dharmesh has obviously talked a lot about the process and having that be the issue that somebody's jarring off, and that allows us to look at those things and listen to our customers. We do NPS just like we just released in the Service Hub tool, and we take and we listen and we read and we go through all that information to be able to digest the things that could be different and could be improved, could be optimized, could be changed. And I think that's a very healthy approach to take. I think one of the problems that you can have is if you ask for feedback but then you don't action on that feedback, it creates a disconnect, it creates a misalignment of expectations, and customers are left by the wayside and they're not having a great experience, and that impacts on your ability to sell more to more people. So I think it's brave to do it, if I'm honest. I think we can come up with the things that we hold dear and that we want to work towards within the customer code. Dharmesh at the end obviously showed the scorecard for HubSpot, and that's very transparent, and it's also can be a tough pill to swallow, especially if some of the areas that we're holding ourselves accountable for are areas that we're not perfect at. Perfection is obviously very difficult to achieve, but we have a few steps to take in a few areas, so it's great to see us taking that direction and seeing how we can optimize it.
I agree, it's so powerful, NPS. What we tend to do, we really look up to you guys at HubSpot. We let you spend the $300 million on R&D, and we just basically copy it. So we introduced the NPS in our business probably only about 6 months ago internally with staff. So every Friday, and you guys can do this in your businesses, every Friday we send an NPS out to staff. How was your week? How can we improve? And we also do it with our customers as well every 30 days. As you know, as Brits tend to hold things in. If we've got an issue or a problem, we don't tend to say it, as they do over here in Boston. So it's sometimes if you're going to lose a client, you don't know right to the bitter end. So just NPSing, especially within our business, has helped us so much. And some things are hard to take. You get suggestions from the staff, or this could be better, and at the start, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, definitely is. But it's the fact that you're opening yourself up to to putting yourself in a situation like that. I think the most important thing about an NPS, whether it's internal or external, we do both. But the most important thing is that you're open to that feedback, and you're creating a dialogue around. You're allowing a voice of an employee or a voice of a customer to be heard. But again, the most important thing is that you action on that, and you show them that you've done changes and you've updated or you've altered something to be able to give them a better experience. Ultimately, I think if we look at the agency-client relationship, a lot of the success of that comes down to an alignment of expectations, and an NPS can allow you to see if there's a misalignment there. If you're going through a sales process with a customer and you show them the case studies and you've shown them the 500-600% increases that you've had for other clients, that plants a seed in their brain that they're saying we should be getting those sort of results, and understanding when they're expecting those results, or how frequently, or how high or how beneficial those results are. That's really important to know, because if that expectation is on the client side is higher than what can be achieved or what is realistic, the relationship is doomed to fail. So the NPS allows an opportunity to open up that conversation and just say, how are we doing? Can we do something different? How are you getting on? Is it something that you can do across multiple stakeholders in your client? Because one stakeholder that you work with might be an important person in the business, but maybe not holding that sort of gravitas or the weight. But you might be able to survey or EMPS the decision maker who purchased it in the first place, but might not be heavily involved in it and might not see the return that they're expecting. And having that opportunity just allows you to get a feel for what's happening and what your clients think. There's nothing better than just asking your client to see if things are going in the right direction. I think people get scared of that, because again, it's like, it can be a raw wound, and if you're the person who's responsible for that customer, it can be hard to put yourself out there.
The other powerful thing as well is that, again from a talk, I think it was yesterday, about they brought NPS saying if you get a 9, actually ask for recommendations. Well, it's really powerful that someone is going to recommend you to a friend if they get a 9. So that's something we need to start doing.
I mean, the world is built on reviews and testimonials, and the power of that is basically social proof. It's basically saying these people are happy to put their name to the experience that they've had with this client or company or service or whatever it is. And not asking for that is missing an opportunity. You can use that in so many different ways in the sales process to bring on new customers, or to realign or reset some expectations in certain places. And your customers, as we talked about, as Dharmesh mentioned, the delight phase, they are the engine behind cranking that wheel, and not going back to the customers who are having a good experience and using their testimonials and using their insight is actually a missed opportunity.
Power of video as well, social proof. Just 10 times more powerful to have a testimonial of a client than a written testimonial. It's just a lot of people are still camera shy, so it's always worth asking, try and get a client.
Definitely. It's harder to do. There's more investment required. We're sitting here with some pretty good equipment. Not every agency has that, or not every client has that. But actually, there's not as big a jump to get into it as people might think. You can do something very basic on your phone. Like most iPhones or most Androids have pretty powerful cameras at the moment, and you can go in, set up a tripod, make sure the camera's steady, have a decent mic that you can just connect in, and you're good to go. It doesn't. The gap from doing nothing and to doing something is actually pretty small. So you don't need to be a massive editor or know your work or your ins and outs of the studios and the tools and the software. You can just get it and do it.
Film and post, I agree, Robbie, yeah. So you actually were speaking at INBOUND, and the title of your talk was Start a New Relationship Off the Right Way.
Yeah.
How did that go? Unfortunately, I was doing a podcast at the time.
I was so hurt, So no one from Digital 22, I was just waiting there, just hoping that someone from Digital 22
we actually did a podcast with John Dick, VP
nice.
Marketing.
Yeah.
So, great guy.
Yeah.
He spoke a lot about the flywheel.
Yeah.
But yeah, how was your talk?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of jet lag in there, but I looked down and there was a sea of people. The first one was packed. I had to do the second one straight afterwards. But I think it's a topic that I hold quite dear to my heart. I see a lot of working with a lot of the top partners and top agencies across EMEA. I see a lot of clients and I see a lot of client relationships. And I've obviously been around for a few years, so I've seen every walk of life across the partner community. And one of the things that always struck me was that inbound, the process of doing it can take a bit of time. Right? So you can start a sales process off and you're setting the expectations in the sales process, you're giving them some anchoring around what they can achieve. And then when you kick off the full delivery and the full retainer, you start with things like the strategic work and all of that sort of investment, not only on the financial side for the customers, which can be the software and the retainer that they're typically paying from day one. But then you're also having the investment on the sort of stakeholders and the time and energy it takes to actually commit to putting this sort of strategy in place and getting that knowledge from the people in the business to the agency so that they can build a comprehensive strategy. And that again takes time. So you could be 3-4 months before you're actually implementing anything on the HubSpot tools. And I saw that happen quite a lot, and I saw a couple of customers just getting a bit frustrated that they were spending money on the services retainer and the investment on the sort of time side, and they weren't seeing the results. And the agency knows that they're not going to be seeing results because inbound takes time and it's a process. But ultimately the talk that I was hoping to get across, or the message that I was hoping to get across, is that there are a lot of things that you can actually do in the short term to help your customers see early value and work towards some of the goals, the long-term goals that they have, but do it in a sort of quick-fire way. So it was everything there from how to implement the actual strategy, how to report on it, how to deliver on it. But ultimately, there was 26 individual actions that you can take, broken down by whether the client needs customers, whether they need leads, whether they need visitors, or just as important is actually whether they need support, whether they need some small thing that's really pissing them off just solved. And agencies have that great ability to be able to go in, diagnose a problem, and figure out a solution for it, but sometimes it can take too long to get there. So the hope was we're helping to enable a lot of the agencies out there to really understand some of the things that they can do in a short space of time that will have a big impact on the customer relationship. So I enjoyed it a lot and got some great feedback from it, and it was a bit nerve-wracking if I'm totally honest, but I'm trying to do a bit more speaking and get out there and put my name out there a bit, so hopefully I've got a decent message or two to say.
Well, cool. How long's too long? You just mentioned some agencies can take too long to get back. In your eyes, what is that? Is that an hour, a day, a week? What's the best time really to get back to it?
I mean, that all depends on your customer and what they're trying to achieve and what their need is, what their pain point is. You know, if you're trying to build a relationship with a customer and they're starting from a pretty low base and you've got very aggressive goal sets in mind, that can be very difficult to move towards. But it all depends on the individuals that you're dealing with as well. And for the agency to go in and understand what different personas they're going to be working with within that organization. It could be, you know, somebody on the marketing exec side or someone on the social side, or it could be a sales director or a marketing director or a CEO or an MD. And they each have different things that they want to achieve and different people that they need to report into, and you know, understanding that first of all is really important, the mechanics behind why people are employing an agency, but also, you know, understanding the individual pain point and what the potential impact of not achieving or not solving that pain point is going to be. So how long is too long? You know, ultimately the 26 tasks shouldn't individually take you more than 2-3 hours at max. And I would say you should probably prioritize 2 or 3 individual actions in the short term, like in the first. Ultimately, you get the tech setup done, you implement all the sort of tracking information, all the forms, replace all that, put all HubSpot in place, give them access to it, and then the quick wins should start pretty much immediately. And that means that you're showing the value of HubSpot. You know, one of the things that I love, and I think is the center point for all of our technology, is the contact timeline. Right? The contact timeline is the power and the influence from the marketing tools, the sales tools, from the service hub, from the tickets. Every single individual thing that we have feeds into somebody behavioral data that sits in the contact timeline. So for me, if you can go to a customer that you're working with and say, you know, here's 3 or 4 contacts that we've seen that have come through the tools since we put the implementation of the tracking code in place. This is what they've looked at, this is what they're interested in, this is what we think we should be doing in the long term. This is the starting point, and this is helping us to build on top of it. Huge value. Because the customer is looking at that and saying, wow, this is the power of HubSpot. This is the reason that we bought a single tool to manage all of these different aspects and the reporting, the closed loop reporting across the different tools that we have. And most importantly, this contact timeline is the jump point for all of the other activities that we're going to do. It's the persona that we're targeting. It's how we're going to structure workflows, because we're going to say this person's come in and they've looked at this content and we want to nurture them through this journey to make sure that we qualify them effectively and that they ultimately sign up for a meeting or a bottom of the funnel offer. You know, the sales tools, this is how we're tracking the revenue that's coming off these customers, the opportunities that are available against them. There's just so many ways that you can funnel that information to, but as long as you're using the contact timeline, that's the best way of communicating that to your customers.
Do you think you could send that slide deck over to us and we'll post it in the show notes for these guys? I'm interested in looking through. I 100% agree with you. It takes so long to set HubSpot up, and inbound can take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to get them quick wins in to add that value.
Yeah, I mean, you might end up losing the momentum of the sales process and ultimately losing the attention of your customers, because things can take time. I mean, I'll definitely send over the doc or the deck. You might see a few references to Greece in there, which might make no sense, but I'll let you guys try and build a story around it.
No, that'd be great, Robin. Thank you. So, what's your plans for the future, Robin? I know we were chatting in the bar last night. Things changing. what's going to happen at your end? Are you happy in your current role?
It's a very good question. I am delighted in HubSpot. You know, I think I feel that I have a proper future in that organization. There's a few things that I've been working on project-wise that I think are potentially the starting point for opening up a discussion around tools that we can provide our partners, data that we have in HubSpot that we can enable both our teams internally and obviously the partner community externally. And we're starting conversations around the customer side as well. So, you know, I think the thing that excites me, the thing that gets me out of bed every day is the fact that, first of all, I'm supporting partners in seeing gaps that they might have and helping consult. But also I'm part of a big organization that actually, you know, it's a big company, HubSpot is huge, but there's a lot of influence that you can have if you've got a good idea and you think you've got a message, you can put it in front of the right people and that can go places. So, you know, what we're very good at is we're very good at picking an endpoint, we're very good at picking a goal that we want to work towards. And the company itself asks everybody around to be able to figure out what are the steps that we need to do to get there, and that's incredibly powerful. It's empowering of the team, and it unlocks a lot of the ideas and creativity that are sitting in the heads of everybody around you, and you know that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and you know I want to continue to happen long into the future. So I don't see myself changing anytime soon. I think my role has changed a few times in the last year or two. I've had a very good journey already in HubSpot, so I hope that will continue long into the future.
Keep going. I can see your passion. Very good.
Yeah.
It's great to find that in an organisation. So we're in Boston.
Yeah.
The sun is shining. We're in a bar. Grab a beer after this.
Yeah.
We've got another day and a half left before Inbound finishes.
Yeah.
Have you got anyone in mind you're going to see? Have you got time to go and see any more talks?
I want to see Chimananda, who's actually on now, 10 minutes into her talk.
Okay.
She's got a very important message, I think, and I think that's some of the speakers out there are fascinating, coming from all walks of life, but ultimately have lots of things to share and insights to take from. We've still got a packed schedule of meetings as well, so I'm not sure how many other sessions I'm going to be able to get to, but really looking forward to sort of getting deeper into what we're doing on the product side and you know, ultimately meeting as many customers and partners as possible in the next 24 hours. And then I'll probably sleep. I'll be Rumpelstiltskin, I think, is that his name? 40 days and 40 nights, I'll sit beside, as long as I get on my flight, I think I'm okay. Somebody will help me get from the flight to home at some point.
Have you got 2 minutes? I know you're going to shoot just to chat a bit more about the conversational part of the flywheel.
Yeah.
Again, we chatted to John yesterday. Some powerful tools come out, such as your chat. I mean, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that for the viewers?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at what we've done in the past, you know, traditional inbound marketing has been you've got a customer journey. Customer comes on, they ultimately start at the top of the funnel, they find some general content, they interact with it, they sign up and register through, or they get access to that content through forms. I think even anecdotally, I'm seeing a lot of people getting a bit more data conscious and data sensitive, and you know the GDPR has been an amazing thing. It's been tough for us to figure out how to address it, but ultimately it's a good thing because we're starting to give a lot more focus and attention to the privacy concerns and data privacy issues that our customers are having. We need to be conscious. So with that being said, people are a little bit more sensitive about how they use their information, who they provide it to, and I see the conversations tool as being a way of helping and giving value before you're extracting that value. So I'm not saying that the traditional conversion path is dead by any means, but we've seen a lot of statistics around things like, you know, people who are on a site probably won't purchase, or this is statistically proven, but they won't purchase unless the site has a chat function, because they need to have that trust and assurance that they're in the right place and that they can ask the questions that they have. And we've also seen that if you get a lead through your site and you respond to that lead, the shorter time that it takes you to do it, the better opportunity you're going to have, which means people have short attention spans. You know, they might say, oh, I want to talk about this, but if you don't get back to them in 2 days, that means you could end up losing that potential prospect of that lead. So what I think we've done, I love the approach, is that we've taken something that's incredibly valuable, the chat function, which in other cases it's not a free tool, you have to pay and you have to purchase it in different platforms. But we've made it available to everyone. And there's a confidence there, there's an awareness as to how powerful this is and how much this can change our clients, and more importantly, scale what they're doing. You can use the technology to be able to ask qualifying questions and channel those people down in different directions, or move them to a chat to an actual person once they've gone through qualifying questions. And the user, the person who's visiting the site, is getting a huge amount of value because they're getting an immediate response. They might not know it's not a real person, but that's really beneficial. They're getting the value they're looking for. And then the company or the agency is getting the value because they're helping to scale the teams that they have and make sure that they're talking to the right people at the right time. So I think it's incredibly valuable, and it's a brave move for us to do it, but I think it's going to have such an impact on what we're trying to achieve, and more importantly, the conversion rates of our customers and the way in which we interact with the tools that we have available to us. So I think it's the future. I think it's if we can start to programmatically provide data and valuable information using these chat functions, it's a huge opportunity for us.
It's a must.
Yeah.
It's proven now. The slide deck from John's talk yesterday, 170% increase in HubSpot's landing page, contact page, once you put chat on. We did it 9 months ago.
Yep.
Our sales have increased, as you know.
Yeah.
Done it to all our customers, their sales, it's just a win-win.
Yep.
It's a must do. So anyone listening, if you haven't got chat on your website,
just
get on it.
Yeah. And it's really easy to do. Like you can have a chat bot up and running in 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's not as it hasn't been that easy before, and there's no reason not to be doing it. I'm in two minds. If you've got a lot of traffic, I think the key is that you make sure you're putting it on the pages that are high value and high potential, so your pricing page or your bottom of the funnel offer, but then you have a bot that sits on other pages to be able to help provide that value for the people you're visiting. So using it smart, but smart doesn't mean it's going to take you hours and hours of setup. Smart just means you're being sensible about how you implement it.
I always like to ask this last question. Give us one tip, give the viewers one tip who are in-house marketeers, what they could, a quick win basically in their business or their client's business.
Yeah, quick win. I have 26 of them. I'm trying to figure out one. It depends. Is this somebody who's currently in a role or using HubSpot? They've been around for a while.
Yeah, so the guys are in a role, they're using HubSpot, they could actually be an in-house marketeer for their company. Yeah.
Quick win. We were talking about testimonials. Ultimately, the NPS and the testimonial, people aren't using it. Nobody uses it. It's a tool that sits there, and the value you can extract from it is huge. But again, it's that little scary thing of getting out there. So if we talk about the flywheel and the delight stage, your customers are the power behind that. And you should be supporting your customers and getting additional value, and obviously looking to upsell, cross-sell, or make them repurchase again. And that's obviously adding value, but ultimately you're trying to get information that you can subsequently use for future prospects. So first thing I would do is make sure you're getting an NPS out for the promoters. Make sure you're getting some testimonials from them. For the detractors, use that feedback wisely. Great discussions around it internally. How can we approach this differently? And make sure you're getting back to the customers as well. So it's not necessarily a marketing task, but it's a huge value add for the whole business.
Super. Really enjoyed talking to you, Robbie.
Likewise.
Finally.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we did 2 podcasts, one last night with a few beers in our hands and one next day. There's less swearing today.
Thank you so much.
No problem,
okay.
Mark.
Hope you
Pleasure.
enjoyed that, guys. I certainly did. And take care. We'll see you next week. Okay. Thank you.